Well, hello, Ferric. How are
Hi,
you?
Silver.
Hello.
I'm doing well. I was thinking about this before we got on. I was like, I don't remember the last time outside of like a work interview. I don't, I think the last time I had an interview with anybody was when I was
Mm,
like 8 years old. So
yeah.
this is a little nerve-wracking for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
hope I can find some ways to make this more comfortable. And if anything comes up that doesn't make you comfortable, let me know and we'll work through it. We can either move along or adjust it to your liking. All right. Well, tell me what it is you're doing. What is it in front of me right now?
So this is the core to a paracord vortex bracelet.
Okay.
Um, you can find the tutorials on YouTube.
Hmm.
Uh, and I am doing a commission for my dad,
Nice.
um, because he wanted a awareness bracelet
Mm,
for one of our church friends.
mm.
I'm agnostic;
Okay.
I don't go to church, but um, there is a healthy church community that I used to be a part of,
Mm.
and an old church friend of ours got diagnosed with uterine cancer.
Oh no.
So I am making an awareness bracelet for uterine cancer today.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you. So I guess we can start getting into the questions then. Are you ready?
Yep.
First question is why did you accept the invite?
Um, I thought it was a neat idea.
Yeah?
I I was like I don't fancy myself an interesting person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't mind talking.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Most people can't get me to shut up.
Nice.
So if someone else can benefit from that, then why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair.
So that's why I said yes.
Cool. I love it.
Also I love your streams.
Thank you.
Shameless plug.
You're
Uh
too kind. Thank you. Um,
so yeah.
okay. You ready for the second one?
Yeah.
'Cause I love how straightforward that was. That was great. I love it. What do you
Uh
do?
okay. So I occupationally I take care of my grandmother.
Hmm.
Um I've taken care of my grandmother for a little over 3 years in total. I did have about a year break
Hmm.
during that, but
Okay.
about 3 years in total.
Okay.
She went and stayed in a nursing home until this January, and I started taking care of her again. So she
Okay.
was able to come home. So happy news.
Yay.
Um, and then on top of that, I have 3 cats and a dog that I take care of.
Okay. Are they all yours or do they belong to other
Well,
people?
so okay, there's another part of that question.
Okay.
Um, the 3 cats are mine. The dog is grandma's.
Okay.
But I'm also taking care of my ex-roommate's dog and my girlfriend's 2 cats.
Mm, a lot of
Uh, while they
animals.
are while they are on spring break.
Okay.
So I have 5 cats, 2 dogs, and grandma to take care of this week.
Hmm.
As well as about 7 stray cats that I feed every day.
Nice. That's a lot of
So
animals.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why
Wow.
I was like, yeah, that's gonna be kind of a loaded question.
Yeah. That's a lot. Thank you for sharing.
I also do about 97 hobbies.
Okay.
Paracord being just one of them.
All right. What
Um,
are some of the other hobbies?
so I have tried my hand at needle felting. I have tried
Mm-hmm.
my hand at alcohol marker art. I
Mm,
do leather work on
mm-hmm.
the regular now.
Oh, nice.
This is one of my leather pieces,
Oh, that's really cool.
just a little worry stone
I
um,
love that. That's awesome.
that I made a couple years ago. Um, Also made a leather coaster that I'm
Oh,
using
that's
currently.
really cool. I've tried to get into what to leather, but that was years ago. And then I had to start worrying about work and money and then realized that leather working is very expensive. And
Yes.
yeah, I had to
Yeah.
stop.
Beyond just like the starting, uh, beyond just like a few of the starting tools, leather
Mhm.
itself is expensive.
Yeah. And I
So
bet it's gone up since the last time I looked, most
yeah,
likely.
about so I did leather work for about 2 months over 3 years ago,
Okay.
and back then, um, a side of leather was about $80.
Okay.
Since picking up, that was 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Since picking up the hobby again, I went back and the same side of leather is now $220.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
So I picked
Oh no.
I picked a wonderful time to get back into the hobby.
Yeah. And I'm glad that I dropped it. Oh my gosh. Oh
Yeah, so
goodness.
that was a little bit of a shocker. I was really glad that I had hoarded away a
Mhm.
bunch of leather at the lower price.
Yeah. That sounds like a relief.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So leatherworking,
Uh,
anything else?
okay. I knit. I have a knitting group that I go with to a local cider, like hard cider bar.
Oh, that's really cool.
Um, every Tuesday we go hang out um at a bar and knit. We have our little knit night.
That sounds so great. I love that.
Uh, they have been my lifeline.
Mhm.
Uh, they're they're my confidants. If I'm having a stressful day, I know I can talk to them about it,
Mhm.
and they will give me good advice.
That's
If I've
wonderful.
read if I've read a good book recently, I know I can talk to someone about it.
Yeah, someone will be interested. Someone will
Um,
listen.
yep. Books. I love books.
Mhm.
Um, I I've read 37 books so far this year.
Nice. That's a lot of books. Nicely done.
All audiobooks, but
Still,
still.
you put the time into it.
Um,
With like sometimes you need to have the time set aside to actually focus on what you're listening to.
yep.
And especially when it comes to books, so you can actually like track what's happening. Because otherwise, it's just noise in the background. So
Well,
I think it counts.
so one of the things I realized I made a mistake right at the beginning. That's okay. Um, so one of the things um last year for while grandma was in the nursing home, I went and sold furniture.
Hmm.
And selling furniture is a lot of waiting on customers to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't allow physical books.
Hmm.
So I listened to audiobooks and paced. I
Okay.
I did about 26,000 steps a day and listened to an audiobook for about 5 hours.
Wow.
And that was what I did at my job. I got paid. I got paid to do that.
That sounds great.
Uh, that was nice.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Yeah.
let's see if I can
Okay.
fix this.
Do you want to move on
Um,
to the next question, or do you feel like you have more
sure.
to say?
No, that's all of my major hobbies that I
Okay.
do.
All right. The next question is, why do you do what you do?
So let's start with grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when so to put it kind of simply, I was doing nothing with my life
Okay.
for a long time. I'd failed out of college
Mm-hmm.
on multiple attempts
Mm-hmm.
and figured out that that wasn't for me. I am looking at going to a VOTEC uh,
Remind me what
sooner or
that
later.
is.
A VOTEC is a vocational school.
I have no idea what that
Um,
is.
so instead of going to college and
Uh-huh.
spending 4 years at a college, you spend like a year and a half taking trade school classes.
Oh,
So
okay.
like learning to be an electrician or a mechanic or a
Plumber.
welder. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Uh,
All right.
s- so I'm going to go to a VOTEC to be an LPN,
Okay, remind me what that is.
a licensed. Well, hold on, is it LPN? A licensed practical nurse.
Oh, okay.
So instead of doing the 4 year nursing program, I'm doing a 1.5, or sorry, 1 year
Mm-hmm.
um, shortened nursing program. I can't do as much as RNs or registered
Mm-hmm.
nurses,
Yeah.
but I can still do quite a bit. And
Enough that go ahead. It's already
it's
kind
already
of
kind of something that I do with grandma. Like I
yeah.
take her blood pressure, I take,
Mm-hmm. That's
um, this
wonderful.
is this is not me undoing the quote unquote mistake that I made because I realized that I was actually making a worse mistake by doing it.
No,
Don't
not at
mind
all.
me.
Do
We
you want to
didn't we
tilt the
didn't just
camera up a little bit so we can see it a little better?
Oh. Yeah, let me actually I'm gonna move
Or
this
that,
down.
that'll work. Yeah.
My apologies.
No problem. Um,
Um
but that's wonderful.
I love animals. So
Mm-hmm.
moving on with your question.
Okay.
So obvious, I take care of my strays. I take care of multiple animals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my partner is in her third year of veterinarian school.
Okay. So
She is
getting
getting
there.
a Yep. So between both of us, we have 5 cats. Um, not including the strays.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah.
That's awesome.
And then hobby wise, I do hobbies because that's how I stay sane.
Yeah. Like staying
So
with all the responsibilities that you have, or because of
yeah,
something else?
a little bit of both. So
Yeah.
I can't focus to save my life.
Okay.
Um, and I'm constantly switching hobbies and what I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
Just continually.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I have many, many hobbies. Um, but also because um this is going on YouTube, so I can't say the illness that has been going around.
Oh, well,
Uh
eh, I don't care. If you if it's easier for you, go ahead. Um, I don't
well,
care.
I had to deal with lockdown while taking
Mm-hmm.
care of my grandmother.
Oh yeah, that must have
My
been
my
terrible.
my 80-plus-year-old grandmother as a uh majorly extroverted person. I
Uh-huh.
love people. So
Oh.
being stuck in the house
Mm-hmm.
for over 6 months, doing the same thing day in and day out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
I picked up all sorts of hobbies.
I bet. I'm really sorry. But
Oh,
also, I'm
it's
glad
fine.
you were able to find something.
Yeah, it's like we're um just like everything in life, when we run into something going on, we figure out how to overcome it.
I mean, we have to. It's do or die. So, yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense. But you've gotten pretty good at paracording. Although I guess I can't really say. I can only assume that you have to learn paracording. So what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say is that you look experienced doing this.
Um so this is probably one of my favorite uh knots,
Mm-hmm.
or sequence of knots. This is actually what it looks like completed.
Oh, that's cool. The spiral.
Um but with different colors,
Uh-huh.
obviously.
Yeah.
Um Here, I can actually pull out a couple more.
Okay.
Um so um you didn't ask this, but I'm going to tell you.
Please do.
Uh I am bisexual,
Okay.
so I actually came up with, wow, all of the notifications are going off at the same time.
They
That's wonderful for recording.
yeah, they know you're
Uh
busy.
so this is the bi flag.
I love it.
I actually modified this knot
Mm-hmm.
between two other knots.
Okay.
If I can get this closer to the camera, there we go.
Yeah.
Um, so there's five in the middle. There's five individual strands, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
two on the edges.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to do rainbow colors for bracelets, which makes really good pride flag bracelets.
Yeah.
If I can find one, I will show it to you. And then the vortex also gives me the option of 7 colors.
Mm.
This is another by
Mm-hmm.
pride. So anyway,
I look good.
um, um, I take pride in what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to do it well. So
Wonderful.
I've pretty much everything I do is self-taught. I haven't taken any classes or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just unless you count YouTube. YouTube is wonderful.
Yeah, YouTube's great. Everything's on there. Like if you want to learn anything, it's there. Just find it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's great. Okay. Well, thank you. So you started well, not maybe you didn't start hobbies, but you really got into hobbies during the pandemic, right?
Yes.
You had did you have some interest in hobbies before then, or did the pandemic really kickstart that?
So, um, I started knitting in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
which was right before the
Yep.
pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Um, I had actually started paracord back in 2014, but I stopped for
Okay.
many years.
Mm-hmm.
I picked it back up when the pandemic hit.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I've done hobbies off and on over the years, but I haven't kept up with them nearly as well as I have now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just didn't have the time to. I was
Yeah.
working and wasn't taking care of grandma at the time, so
Mm-hmm.
hobbies kind of took a back seat.
Mm.
I'm glad I'm back into them now, though. They've been very good for my mental and emotional health.
That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. Do you want the next question?
Yes, please.
All right. Um, well, this is obvious, but do you make things?
No, not at
No,
all.
not at all. You don't make a
Never,
single
never.
thing. Okay, let me change up
Uh,
that question then. What is your most favorite thing that you've made?
my most favorite thing that I've made. That's a good question. Um, Actually, this is within arm's reach, so I can show it. So one of my things that I love to show off, I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's my favorite, but I love showing it off, is
Sure.
this stocking cap.
Ooh, that
Um,
looks really good. I like the gradient.
Thanks.
Gradient's really
I did
cool.
nothing special. To anyone that knows what knitting is, this is just a
Mm-hmm.
knit one, purl one, uh, ribbing, and then stockinette in the round.
Mm-hmm.
It was so easy, but it's so pretty that
Yeah.
I love showing it off. Like I didn't even change yarn. This is all the same yarn,
Wow.
same skein of yarn. So like this is
Nice.
probably the thing that I show off the most.
Yeah. It
But I
looks
don't know
good.
about a favorite.
All right, that's fine. Um, yeah. Okay. I do you have any add-ons to that question, or should we move right along?
Um, no, I've already kind of showed off some of the stuff I've made.
All right.
I feel like doing that again would be in poor taste.
Okay. So the next two questions are oh, sorry, words escape me. The next two questions are kind of redundant, especially since we've kind of gone over them. Uh, but I'm sure there's a way I can twist them around to make them interesting again. Um, so the next one is why do you make things? And we kind of already explored that it's been beneficial to your mental health and
Yes.
well-being, and it really helped you during the pandemic. The next question is why do you really make things? And I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, but like, is there any deeper meaning that you think there is that you would want to share? If not, that's okay. I'm curious. I like finding the deeper meaning in things, even if it's not there. It's a bad habit of mine.
No, you're good. There is.
Okay,
Now that I kind of am thinking about it, don't mind me pulling out a bunch of knots. I made a mistake earlier.
no problem.
Um, I'm never gonna finish this bracelet. That's what I'm learning.
That's
Um,
okay.
so yes. Do you know what the love languages are?
Yes.
Like spending time with? Okay.
Hmm.
So my love language is gift giving.
Okay. Yeah.
And being able for someone to say, "Hey, I'm having X minor issue in my life,"
Hmm.
or "Hey, I just came out as demisexual or
Hmm.
whatever."
Yeah.
Being able to make something customized to that person
Mm.
is so invigorating to me.
Yeah.
I just adore it. I love being able to hand somebody something that I know they're going to use and I know
Hmm.
it's going to make them happy.
And it's personalized to them.
Exactly. Um and that's one of the big reasons why I make things.
Hmm.
Um and why I spend time learning how to do different crafts.
Mm. Okay.
So, yeah, I think that answers your question.
I think so. That's awesome. I love it. I am I don't sorry, my words are failing me today. um
Words are hard. Words
Words
are
are
hard.
hard. They are. They're difficult. Language is weird. Um but I I was a craft I did craft a lot more when I was younger. I don't as much anymore. Um, but that is something that I also liked to do was make personalized crafts, and I still kind of maintain that in art that I do sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I can totally understand the feeling. And, I love that. I'm glad you find joy in that. So thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Do you
Thank
want
you
to
for
move on?
asking.
Oh, yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. That's the whole point. Do you want to move on, or do you have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. Um, who is someone you like?
In what context?
It can be whatever context. It can be yeah, whatever context. It can be like you like them as a friend, you like them as something else, but like who is someone that you like and just think is cool? Who do you enjoy?
Um, so I would be remiss to not mention my partner.
Mhm.
Um, she is incredible, and I will say that every day until I die.
Okay.
Um, she has this level of ambition
Mm.
and just like willing to go above and beyond for things that she enjoys and things that she loves
Mm.
that I admire.
Yeah.
She's also very um obviously she's well educated. She's going to a doctorate level program.
Mhm.
But on top of that, she in that doctorate level program, in both times she's been to college, so for both her bachelor's and this program,
Mhm.
she's only had a single B.
Oh wow. That's
And she
impressive.
got it. Yeah. So like as someone who failed out of college 3 times,
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh.
um but on top of that, she's also, she loves and adores her family.
Mhm.
She uh she works to help and better the lives of all the animals around her.
Mhm.
Um, she's just amazing.
Mhm.
Um, and then I'm gonna get a little bit personal with this one.
Okay.
Not that talking about my significant other was not personal. Um, but I also admire my mother,
Mm.
even though she and I have often. Oh, 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 oh. Sorry.
That's okay.
Like you said earlier, everybody knows that I'm busy, so they want to
Mhm.
call and talk.
Yep.
Um, I also admire my mother because she has been very driven in her life and has always she didn't grow up with money, and she carved out a good living situation for me and my sister.
Mm.
Now, my mother and I have been at odds with each other for
Mm.
over a decade. We just constantly bicker and fight. It's
Mm.
better now. It's
Yeah,
better now.
but still.
Um, but for a long time, I we couldn't be in the same room together for longer than 10 minutes without
Mm.
fighting.
Mm.
And
That's difficult.
yeah, and despite all of that, I still admire her for the things that she has accomplished
Mhm.
and the home that she was able to give me and my sister.
Mm.
Um, so despite us being at odds for
Mhm.
most of my life, um, I still admire her for what she did.
Mhm.
So
Do you want to go more deeper into details on that, or not really?
It's kind of up to you. I have the philosophy of if you ask the question, be prepared for the answer.
Okay. Um,
Um,
I mean, a story's a story. I want to hear a story.
um, I don't really have a particular story necessarily.
Okay.
Um, so for a long time, my mother was very much the person that it's like you have to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Was very much that kind of individual. Now,
Mm-hmm.
granted, college was what got her out of poverty
Mm-hmm.
and provided the life that she did for my sister and I. So she had all sorts of reasons
Mm-hmm.
for that thought process.
Yeah.
Um, but I had told my parents that I didn't want to go to college, especially immediately out of high school. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
a year break,
Mm-hmm.
and they essentially told me no.
Mm.
So I went to college and failed out almost immediately.
Oh no.
Um, yeah, and that's still a sore spot because lots of reasons. That's still a
Yeah.
sore spot.
Yeah.
Um,
That's fair.
but kind of moving forward, she and I it finally got to the point that I realized that a lot of how we responded to each other, a lot of how at least how I responded to my mother
Mm-hmm.
was a trauma response.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple years ago, I finally got to the point where I had said, look, either we either we stop either we stop doing this or our relationship stops.
Mm.
Um like I'll still talk to you or whatever, but from now on you're going by your first name
Mm.
if this continues,
Yeah.
because like I said, we couldn't be in the same room for longer than 10 minutes without fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And that communicating that with her and kind of explaining where I was coming from
Mm-hmm.
um changed things.
Good. Changed it for the better
um
or
oh yeah.
worse? Good.
Oh yeah, no, definitely for the better. We can actually hold a conversation together without being at each other's throats.
Awesome.
um we can talk about the future,
Mm.
which we were never able to do
Mm.
because it always went back to, well, you need to go to school.
Mm. Yeah.
um which I am technically trying to go back to school. I'm just trying specifically not to do college.
Yeah. You're doing it in a way that suits you better.
Yeah. Because I know my limits.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to go to school many times, and I always crater about the second semester.
Mm.
That's always whenever everything goes wrong.
Mm.
Well, if the school is only 2 semesters,
Hmm.
we can hold ourselves together for that long. We can do that.
I believe in you.
So, um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I am a firm believer in school is not for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can make a life a successful in your own definition of a success. That you can have a successful and fulfilling life without school.
I think so too.
Especially nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There's a lot more options out there.
oh yeah. Um, so my advice to anybody listening is have a true and honest conversation with yourself about what you want out of life and how to achieve it.
Hmm.
And if that includes school, that includes school. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I had a very similar conversation with myself about 4 years ago. Um, and that was when I decided, okay, well, I guess I got to go to school for this because you can't do what I want to do without a bachelor's at least. So yeah, I get that.
May
Um, hmm?
may I ask the interviewer a question?
Sure.
What are you going? What are you trying to do with school?
So I'm getting a bachelor's in psych, and I'd like to eventually, maybe potentially, get a master's in counseling. In the long run, I'd like to be a therapist or counselor. Um, but with a bachelor's, I can work potentially under someone who already does. And just learn more about that field and how to do that job properly. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. I want to talk to people. I want to help them sort out their stuff in a way that doesn't make them feel bad about themselves. Yeah. I hope that
That
makes
is something
sense.
I've Yeah, it's something I've noticed with your streams.
Yeah, it's something I try to bring to that environment. In a way, streaming is also a very amateur way of practicing, but it's also a very good way of keeping me. So, therapists have therapists because therapy is hard, and there's a lot of really deep and traumatic stuff that comes up in those conversations, and having the ability to see it and talk about it and wrestle with it, and then an hour later have to drop all that for the next person um is tough. uh so in a small way, I'm hoping that streaming in some way kind of helps me in figuring out how to work with stuff like that, and like how to not take everything so personally, or not to carry other people's baggage with me,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
That's like the number one thing that they warn you about when going
Yeah,
into that profession
just don't do that. He'll
is
kill you.
yes is don't do that.
Yeah. You have to be really firm in who you are, and a lot of stuff, you have to be pretty close to self-actualization, um, if you wanna do that properly. I don't think I've gotten there, but, I'm working on it. But yeah, it's a lot of work to learn how to not carry other people's stuff with you and still be helpful. Like, sometimes just focusing on not doing that is tough enough itself, and then to think, "Oh, yeah, and now I have to have another conversation with another person about their stuff."
Yep.
Oh, it's a lot. But I think I got what it takes. I think I'll be fine.
Well, I've been seeing good things,
That's good.
so I think you've got this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, do you want the next question, or do you have something else to add?
No, we can go on to the next question.
All right. We asked who is someone you like, and you mentioned your girlfriend and your mother. Um, you in the same vein, you explained why you liked them, right? You
Hmm.
really admire your girlfriend's ambition. Um, sorry, partner. I assumed. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I said girlfriend at the beginning of the stream too, so
Still.
partner or girlfriend, it's the same thing to me.
Okay.
Um, I know it's not the same thing to everyone, so
Yep.
I will say that.
Yeah, I need to be better about that. I have had some trouble adjusting my vocabulary, but I'm working on it. I'm trying. Um, but yeah, and then you mentioned your mother and how you appreciated your mother's ambition as well to change her circumstance, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
To go a little bit more into um something I'm proud of my mother for,
Mhm.
um, is even though she has been throughout her entire life, she's always known exactly what she wanted to do moving
Mhm.
forward.
Mhm.
That has changed
Mm.
recently.
Okay.
To where I mean, she's not old by
Mhm.
any stretch of the word, but she's getting to the point in life where she kind of has to think about where she wants to be
Mhm.
at the end of her life.
Yeah.
And she was able to, one, talk to me about it,
That's wonderful.
uh, and then two, admit to herself that she doesn't know, and that scares her.
Mm. Yeah.
She doesn't know where she wants to go or what she wants to do or what she doesn't know. And so
Mhm.
she's having that conversation with not only herself but her loved ones.
Mhm. Which
So
is
yes,
rather
that
yeah. I was gonna say
yeah.
that that's
So
rather brave of her, and I applaud your mother.
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, there was more. I was like, I'm proud of her for that. I'm
Yeah.
proud of her for that because
That's
that's a hard
awesome.
conversation.
It is. And very scary, as she aptly pointed out. So I'm glad that she's able to have that honest conversation. That's wonderful.
She'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think so. She's gotten this far. Um, all right. Moving on.
Yep.
Um, what do you like about yourself?
Uh the self-deprecating part of me really wanted to say absolutely nothing. Um,
Uh,
but
nearly
that is
everyone I interview says about the same thing, so go ahead.
yeah, like it's much easier for people to see the flaws
Mhm.
um when it comes to themselves. It's much easier for them to see, well, I'm not where I want to be in life, or um I'm not fulfilled in what I'm doing right now.
Mhm.
Um and not looking at, well, what are you doing with your time? What positive impacts are you making on the world? What are you doing that makes you feel good about yourself and about others?
Mhm.
Um, I think that's a very healthy conversation to have with yourself.
Mm.
So, despite me knowing that, and despite me trying to have that conversation, I don't know how to answer this question, um, which is why I'm beating around the bush.
Okay. We'll wait. I'm patient.
Um, can you repeat the question?
The question was, what do you like about yourself?
I I don't know. I feel like any answer to this sounds vain.
No,
At
it's
least to
not.
my at least to myself.
uh,
So something that I like about myself, something that I take a modicum of pride in,
okay.
is being able to admit when I was wrong.
Mm, yeah, that's a very
Um,
important skill.
I I make it a point, like if it's an argument, like if it's an argument or it's like, um, well, I don't think I'm that way, and
Mm.
then I look at the evidence and I'm like, ah, shit. Um, I will go out of my way to go to the person who I was having that conversation with
Mhm.
and say, "Look, I was wrong.
Mm.
I was." And even though it feels kind of shitty at the
Mhm.
time,
Yeah,
like it feels. I mean, it doesn't feel good to admit you're wrong. It just
absolutely
doesn't.
not. No, it's embarrassing. Yeah.
But just like being able to go up to somebody and say, "Hey, look, I was wrong about this."
Mhm.
It it does feel better afterwards.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, Not to say that that's the reason why I do it is the good feeling,
Mhm.
'cause it's not. I just have a thing about honesty, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that's a at least a decent answer to your question.
I think so too. I like that too. Um, I have grown up around people, and have encountered several people who do not have that skill or vulnerability with themselves to admit, both to themselves and to other people that they were wrong. And the fact that that is something that you're proud of yourself to do and that you exercise actively is awesome. And I love that. So thank you for sharing.
Like,
It's definitely a skill and you've learned it. That's wonderful.
I wouldn't go as far as to say I've learned it, but I practice it.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Uh,
fair. Um, yeah, that's fair. The next question is another hard one. What about yourself inspires you?
oh shit. Um, I would say my ability to go out and find a new hobby and try to learn that hobby as quickly as possible, but that's just called hyperfixation. Um, uh, what about me inspires me? I have no idea how to answer that question.
That's okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think so. That's why it's on the list.
Uh, I don't know. Maybe that I try to make the world a better place.
Yeah, that's pretty inspiring.
I at least make an attempt,
You try.
which is better than some. I
Eh,
wouldn't say better than most, but it's better than some.
it's better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. I think that's pretty inspirational. I always appreciate a good effort.
Well, sometimes effort is all we've got.
Yeah, sometimes for real. Like sometimes we aren't given much other than effort. And then it's just like, well, okay then. Just do what you can with what you have. All right. Do you want the next one or do you want to refine your
I
answer?
ha- I have nothing else to say on that one. That is a hard question.
Okay, no problem. All right, the next one is how do you react in uncomfortable situations?
By laughing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. D- rewind the video 30 seconds. I just did that.
Okay, that's fair. Sometimes, at least for me, it's hard for me to understand when someone is laughing out of embarrassment or because they're genuinely having a good time. So, it's hard for me to tell sometimes, even though I do it myself. But yeah, totally. Nothing more you want to add to that? That's just how you cope, is laugh?
Okay, so we had there was a couple of other words said in between there. Could you repeat the question one more time?
The
Sorry.
question was, how do you react in uncomfortable situations?
Okay. Yeah, like I said, laughing.
Yeah. Okay.
It kind of depends. It kind of depends on the situation.
Mhm.
Like if the if the uncomfort is because of an injustice,
Mm.
I I will say something. I
Yeah.
have no qualms calling shitty people out for doing shitty things.
Mhm.
I have no reservations. Um so yeah. Um so
That's
it
awesome.
kind of depends. It kind of depends on what's going on,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah.
All right, that makes sense. Do you want to move on?
Sure.
When was the last time you were validated?
That validated
Like,
like
go ahead.
no, no, yeah,
Okay.
it's a question.
Sorry. Okay. So,
Yeah.
and this question, what I'm asking for is, so there's a validation of feelings and emotions and stuff like that that I find is lacking most often in human connection, at least where I'm from and in the culture that I've been raised in. It's very lacking and not there, especially on the internet. And I kind of want to try to put that more in the forethought of thought at the moment of like, when was the last time someone validated the pain or emotions or stressful situation or anything that you went through? When was the last time someone went like, validated that and like made you feel like, oh, I feel seen?
So to any caretakers out there,
Mm-hmm.
um the last time I was validated because, you know, the situation was shitty or it was hard or, there's difficulties going on with things,
Mm-hmm.
was actually validation from my mother, which is very rare.
Mm.
Because my mom is a nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
She understands how hard being a caretaker actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so she just about every time she's over here, she lets me know it's like we're trying hard to give you time off to where you can go and de-stress because this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
This is not it's not fun, being cooped up 24/7, always worried about, a fall or
Mm-hmm.
a stroke or, um, having to be constantly hyper vigilant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is a hard job. So to any caretakers out there, good on you. Uh, because this shit sucks.
Yeah.
And we have like we should be able to say that because it does. And find a good support system because we need it.
Mm-hmm. It's a very difficult situation for sure.
So yeah, the last time I was validated was either this last Tuesday or the Tuesday before.
Nice. So
Um,
pretty recently.
yeah,
Awesome. I'm glad. I am not a caretaker, so I don't know how to also validate you because I don't know your situation
you're
personally,
good.
and I am not familiar with caretaking, but um, I want to say I'm proud of you, even though I know that I have no ties to this whatsoever. But I'm glad
You'll
that yeah. Go ahead.
um with being a therapist, and kind of the stuff that you mentioned earlier with
Mm-hmm.
having to deal with your own shit and other people's shit,
Yeah.
you're gonna run into some similar feelings, not the same, obviously, but
Uh-huh.
you're gonna run into some similar
For sure.
situations where it's like I'm having to worry about this whole other person.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I think if you don't already understand it, you'll at least have a healthy respect for it.
Definitely.
Um,
And that's what I'm
later
trying
on,
to express in this moment is that I
yeah,
respect what you've done and I'm glad that you have someone in your corner to validate that.
I
Yay.
appreciate it.
No problem.
I keep hitting the mic. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Rip, rip headphone users.
um, do you want to add anything here or do you want to move on?
Oh, we can move on.
All right. I love where I've placed this question. Every time I come across it, it's like, ah, it's so late in the game, but it changes everything. Who are you?
Um, hold on, let me think about this.
Okay,
We just had a solid 5 seconds of dead air.
don't worry about it.
Like I could list a bunch of labels. I'm a caretaker. I'm a hobbyist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm an animal lover.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But who are you as a person? Who are you to you?
I'm me.
Yeah?
I'm just me. I'm myself. Um, I refuse to be anybody else. Not that I have a choice, but I
Mm-hmm.
refuse. Um, let me think about that.
Okay.
Um, the snarky part of me wants to ask, "Who are you?" Uh, but it's not my interview.
No.
Um, I am violently myself, is what I like to say.
I love that. That's a very good description.
Um, hell or high water. Um, I will be myself and make it your problem if I have to.
If you push me.
Kind of going back on the injustice
Mm-hmm.
stuff earlier. I
Yeah,
if I like I said, I am violently myself, and I have no qualms standing up for what I believe in.
that's awesome.
Uh, I may have made this too small. Oh well.
It's an attempt.
Um, we're still gonna cut. We're gonna still snip and singe.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think that's my answer. Is
All right.
I am violently myself.
I love that. I love that answer. You might find this next one equally as hard. Outside of race, gender, and career, how would you describe yourself?
Um, honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I refuse to lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a part of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was part of the reason why I have the rule on if you ask a question, be prepared for the answer,
Ah, yeah.
is
Mm-hmm.
because I will just answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
and have no qualms about how it makes you feel afterwards.
Mm,
Uh,
that makes sense.
so, um, I don't know how else to answer that.
Fair. I think that's pretty decent. That combined with everything else we just talked about, I think we've got a pretty good picture. Oh, look
Um,
at that.
this is the world's smallest bracelet.
It's very small. But
um,
hey, you learned. It's alright.
this is the smallest bracelet I've had to make for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna see what the inner diameter of this is. I think it's like 4 inches. It
Mm.
needs to be 6. It's like 5 inches. Okay. Well,
Close.
that's okay. Um, it's a hamster collar.
Oh,
it's
a pretty
no
big
longer
hamster.
it's no longer a bracelet. It's a guinea pig collar.
Or a chihuahua.
Um,
Small dog.
so yeah, I think that's as good of an answer as I'm gonna get for that one.
Alright, that's fair. Next one is, what is something that scares you?
Ooh, lots of things.
Yeah.
Not living a fulfilling life.
That's scary.
Uh, uh, not living up to my personal potential,
Mm.
like however I define what my potential is. Because like
Mm-hmm.
some people will be like, well, my potential is like I can become a doctorate. Well, I know I can't. Um, but I know that I can do things um in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and live up to my potential that way. I have figured out recently that I do have a phobia.
Mm. Okay.
Like the textbook irrational fear of something
Okay.
phobia.
Yep.
So to give you a little bit of context, I listen to SCP
Yep.
videos and horror short stories while going
Mm-hmm.
to sleep.
Ooh.
That's just something I do.
Ooh, that's
It
interesting combo. Okay.
um I I like it.
Yeah.
Um
Sometimes the
however,
narration is soothing.
yeah. However, recently I was listening to a true horror story,
Mm-hmm.
and I was fine. I was listening to the video, going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I was perfectly fine, and then I glanced at my phone, and the top comment said, "Yeah, moose are fucking scary." And once I knew what the creature was, I started getting sweats. I started feeling anxious. I couldn't go to sleep.
Oh no.
I had to change the video.
Not the meese.
It's called alcophobia.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, ALKI phobia.
Uh-huh.
Um, I need to do more research, like
Mm-hmm.
try to go see a moose in person and see if
Mm-hmm.
I have the same reaction.
Yeah.
Moose are terrifying.
They
They just
are.
are. Um, but in my own home, just listening to a video about moose put me in sweats.
Oh, that's
Uh,
it's
so
not awesome that you're afraid, but I love that story. You told it so well.
like I was unprepared
Yeah,
to say the least.
for the terror
Like
of the moose.
my girlfriend has since in all good fun
Mm-hmm.
has since started sending me the Invader Zim a
Yeah.
moose in a room
Yeah. I've seen it.
just all in good fun. It's funny,
Uh-huh.
but she's like,
Yeah.
"This is all I can think about when you talk about it."
Not the moose. Oh, that's wonderful.
So,
Also, I'm sorry, but also,
hey,
uh,
it's funny.
it is.
It's
I feel bad
funny.
for laughing. Uh,
Um,
so my next question is, not this is not on the list, but are you aware about the fact about orcas and moose?
yes.
Okay, so you have that. I don't know if that's helpful, but there is that.
It does terrify me that moose can swim.
Yeah, they could
Um,
dive.
but at least I know orcas are on my side.
Yeah, orcas got your back. They'll eat the moose. Although in
Um,
some respect, I feel like, at least for me personally, that makes me both more scared and have more reverence or respect for the orca. Um,
orcas are terrifying.
they're terrifying, but also so cool.
We are so lucky that we are not on the food list.
Totally. I mean, orcas will hunt sharks for fun. So, like,
Ah,
they're they're terrifying. I don't know which culture names it them, but I know they had the name of the sea wolf, and I really
sea
like
wolf.
that
Yeah.
because it really that hits home for me. Like, yeah,
Have we
it makes
talked about this
sense.
before? Yes.
Uh,
No. No. Hold on. Hold on. Let
okay,
me see. I'm just scrolling through our messages. There's a orca video that I think you should watch.
okay,
I'll send it to you later.
all right. I'll watch it later then.
So, to backtrack just a little bit,
Hmm.
um, to your question, I do have another fear.
Okay.
I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a phobia.
Hmm.
But I do have one more fear that I would be remiss not to mention.
Okay.
Um, my it wasn't Alzheimer's, but my grandfather died of essentially multiple frontal lobe strokes.
Ooh, that's not good.
And over the course of like 8 years, he slowly forgot who he was.
Hmm.
Um, I have told I've told my significant other, I've told her, look, if I start forgetting who my friends are, who I am,
Hmm.
who my loved ones are,
Hmm.
um, take me out to the tundra and kick me out of the car. Because that's a better way to go.
Oh goodness.
um, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, uh, one of one of my one of my bigger fears is forgetting who I am
Mm.
and who my loved ones are.
Yeah.
So I have two existential fears. Not living up to my potential and forgetting who I am.
Hmm.
And then I have a fear of moose. Uh
Look, you gotta balance it out somehow. um, but yeah, that makes sense. And from the stories I've heard of people who have lived with people that have gone through that, it sounds very scary. I don't have a lot of personal connection to it, but that sounds very scary. And especially as someone, um, who is violently themselves,
yeah.
that makes sense. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. I'll have to look at that. Thank you. Um, do you want the next one or do you have anything to
Yeah.
add?
No.
All right.
That's it. It's the only three fears that I know of.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Um, what is some what is the hardest thing you've ever had to overcome?
Um, like I said earlier, if you ask the question, be prepared for the answer.
Okay.
Um, so judging from my fears and losing who I am and forgetting who my friends are.
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer in found family.
Mhm.
Um, I do not think that blood is thicker than water.
Okay.
I am not that kind of I'm not that kind of person.
Mhm.
Um, um, a couple years ago, one of my close friends who did D&D with us
Mhm.
and um was a brother to me.
Mhm.
In every sense but blood was a brother to me.
Mhm.
Um got diagnosed with testicular cancer.
Oh no.
He made it through the operation, through the surgery to remove the growth,
Mhm.
and due to complications shortly afterwards, he passed away.
Oh no. Yeah.
Uh, losing, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him.
Mhm.
Um, and that was years ago.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah. That sounds very hard. What
yeah.
are some things that you do to cope with that grief?
Well, I refuse to stop playing D&D. Um,
Wonderful.
Wizard of the Coast made that very hard recently,
For sure.
uh,
Yes.
because they made some really dumb decisions.
Very dumb. Yes.
Um, Sorry, we're gonna start the remake
All right.
on
Let's
this
do it.
bracelet.
Let's do it.
Um, I I still, you know, all of my close friends I still keep in contact with.
Mhm.
I try to go out of my way because um I am bipolar and
Mhm.
I have a bad habit of falling off the face of the earth.
Okay.
Um I'm sure there because it's bipolar depression,
Mhm.
and I'm sure there are other people that understand what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Um and I try to make a point not to do that with my friends because you can lose them.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of coping with that loss, um, there are still things that he wanted to do in life, um, such as make his own board game, make his
Mm.
own tabletop role playing game.
Mhm.
And him, it was him, myself, and another friend of ours, um, who were kind of all on board with this idea,
Mhm.
and we are still not probably not as hard as we should be working on it, but we are still working on it. We are still
Making the attempt.
trying. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Um, but yeah, I think that answers your question.
I think so too. All right. Thank you. Um, the next question is, what frustrates you the most about life?
Um, Stupid people being stupid. Uh, particularly, and right now it's really frustrating me.
Mm-hmm.
All of the anti-trans
Mm.
legislation that's going through
Yeah,
in a bunch of our states
that's very
is
irritating.
really, really pissing me off.
I'm sure.
it's it's really pissing me off.
Yeah,
So
that makes
like
sense.
like sorry to use the S word, but they are being stupid.
Yeah.
Uh and yeah, so that is very frustrating to me when
Mm-hmm.
we have all of the tools to be a inclusive and wonderful community to other people. We have everything at our disposal,
Mm-hmm.
um, to not only save the world, because we also have a climate crisis going
Mm-hmm.
on,
Yeah.
but at the same time we want to be shitty to each other while also ignoring the world. Um,
Yeah.
so that's very frustrating to me.
Yeah. It's a very frustrating situation.
Sorry if I triggered anybody, but it had to be said.
That's what you felt. And as you keep saying, expect an answer. There's your answer.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's fair. And I'm not as deep into the LGBTQ community as I think you are. Um, but from my outside perspective, I can definitely understand that, and I do find it frustrating myself that these are beliefs that are still held and um, propagated.
Yeah.
It's annoying. Yeah, for sure. I agree. Um, do you want to move on or add to that?
Um, Something I'm very hopeful for with the climate crisis is
Okay.
we had a breakthrough. I know that
Yeah.
this is tertiary to the question,
No, go
um,
ahead.
but we did have a breakthrough in fusion technology,
Oh, that's right. I keep hearing about that.
and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Um, I know it's still way down the line in terms of when it's going to be um, publicly utilized.
Hmm. But it's
Um,
becoming more of an option.
yep, it's no longer fusion technology is 30 years away,
Hmm.
which which is the running joke in the scientific community.
Uh,
Um, it's more like 10 years away.
nice.
Um, at least in my hopeful estimate.
I hope so.
Um, so yeah, that
Yeah.
so there's some good news going around.
Yeah. Sprinkled in amongst the rest.
Yep.
It's sometimes hard to see, but thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
What excites you the most?
My latest hyperfixation, whatever that
Yeah.
may be.
You don't know what it is right now?
No, so right now I'm kind of between hyperfixations. One my the medication that I'm on for my
Mm-hmm.
bipolar depression,
Mm-hmm.
uh, kind of blunts um that uh I call it like a drive, like finding a new topic and trying to learn as much as I can about it in the next
Mm-hmm.
12 hours.
Yeah.
I no longer
Um,
feel that.
okay.
Um, um, which is a little sad. the
Mhm.
medication is working. I am operating much better as a human being. Um,
But those
medication,
experiences are still experiences.
yeah.
Anyway,
Um,
the medication.
yeah, just medication's not for everybody, and I
Mhm.
understand that. However, I am also a proponent for have that conversation with your provider.
Definitely.
Um, because medication can help a lot of things. It's not the end all be all. It's not going to work for everybody, and I understand that.
And it's
Um,
not the only solution.
yeah, it's not the only thing. I also believe that everyone needs therapy.
I agree.
Um,
Which is bad of me to say because I want to be a therapist. But I agree.
yeah, I'm a proponent for therapy. Everybody needs a little bit of it.
Just a little bit.
We all have our own shit that we need to get through.
Hmm.
Um, what was the original question again? We
What
got a little bit
excites
off
you the
topic.
most?
What excites me the most?
Hmm.
Um, okay. So beyond hyperfixations, right now, actually having a tangible plan for the future.
Nice. Yeah.
Um, because I've never had that.
Mm.
I've never known what I wanted to do. I've never had a accessible means of doing whatever I wanted to do.
Hmm.
Um, and being able to look at my future and say, okay, I want to grow old with this person. What do I want to do while I'm doing that? Well, I want to help others. I want to, being able to have
Hmm.
the conversation of what do I want out of life
Hmm.
and coming up with a tangible plan for that is what I'm excited about right now.
Yeah. That does sound exciting.
So yeah. Sorry,
Awesome.
there's not a whole lot going on the video screen because I'm a little bit off camera.
Nah, it's okay. It's
I'm
fine.
I'm 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 being very good about no dead air though.
Eh, look, we're gonna
That's been
have.
my goal.
Don't pressure yourself about it, because there's gonna be the edited version, and then there's gonna be the long version. And those that don't mind dead air can get the long version, and those that do will get the edited version.
There you go.
It all works out. It's fine.
Do
But I
you have a
appreciate the
channel that
effort. Huh?
you post like the long form?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's on the same channel as the edited. It's just it's under a label so that you know that it is unedited.
Uh, okay. I'll
Yeah.
have to look for that.
They're not too hard to find. Um, do you want the next question?
Yes, please.
Uh, so the next question here is why did you agree to the game we are playing? But we're not playing a game. We're watching you do a craft. So tell me why you wanted to do. Well, you already mentioned why you wanted to do this particular craft, but do you have anything to add to this concept at the moment?
Um, to anybody who ever has that person in their life that says, "Well, why are you wasting time doing art?" or "Why are you wasting time making something?" or "Why are you wasting time?" Don't listen to them. Fuck them.
Yeah, they don't know what
Uh,
they're talking about.
because I mean, I did music. I played saxophone for 10 years. And I loved it. I love
Hmm.
saxophone.
Yeah.
But because of my asthma,
Mm-hmm.
and constantly having to take my inhaler, to anybody else who has to take inhalers, they know the shakes
Mm-hmm.
that you get from taking albuterol.
Mm.
And for the longest time, other people told me, and I told myself that you can't do art.
Mm.
Um, for the longest time, I let other people tell me that, and for a long time, I believed it.
Mm.
It's bullshit. Don't listen to them. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Do what you love. Um, as long as it's not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
That is my only stipulation on anything in life: is make decisions, go through with the decisions as long as those decisions aren't hurting anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are some niche situations where that is not. I think there's been some books written on it where that's not like, that doesn't encompass everything, but it encompasses a lot of things.
It encompasses most things in the day-to-day
Yeah,
life, but there definitely are situations where it does not. But
yeah,
those are situation by situation basis.
yeah. So, specifically with art and expressing yourself, just do it. Like, don't let anybody else say, well, you can't do that because of X.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, you can do so much with ambition and an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where there is a will, there is a way.
Definitely.
So don't give up on dreams. Don't give up on hobbies. Um, especially don't give up because someone else told you to.
Yeah. Although that's a very difficult spot to be in,
Yeah,
especially if you're a person who doesn't like themselves all that much, to be then have all these voices in your head be confirmed is just that's really tough.
yeah. I call them brainworms.
Mm-hmm. That's one way to call
Um,
them.
I call them brainworms. Thanks to a couple of very good books
Mm-hmm.
and my medications, I no longer have brainworms nearly as severe as I used to.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, my suggestion to everybody is work through your shit. Because everyone's got shit. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
got shit to work through,
Yep.
and don't don't believe the brainworms if they tell you you can't. Well, you can't accomplish this. If you want to accomplish it, then by God, you can do it. You just got to try.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Yeah.
there are some niche situations like, if you're 6'4", you can't become a fighter pilot
Yeah.
because you have to be 5'11". Um, I do not suggest getting amputation on both of your legs to
Oof.
fit the criteria. I
Unless
suggest
like,
don't do that.
well, yeah, but also like, what if you're just super passionate about it? Like this is well, but then again, that's also like maybe having one thing that defines your entire life probably isn't very good. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think I
So
see where you're going.
yeah, within reason,
Mhm.
like what people are capable of doing, and
And what
it
you're able to do.
yeah. There's there's a laundry list of exceptions and yada yada,
Hmm.
but just have an honest conversation with yourself. Look at what what am I wanting to do? How do I accomplish that? Go through all the steps,
Hmm.
and it's like, okay, is this feasible, or am I getting stuffed from the get-go?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just have the wherewithal.
Yeah. I think that's some very
Anyway,
good advice. Awesome.
I try.
Thank you. You do good sometimes. I appreciate it. Do you want to move on or do you have anything else to add?
No, we can move on.
All right. What is something you're proud of?
Well, just about everything I make,
Yeah.
I take a little bit of pride in, just like with any creator.
Mhm.
They take pride in what they do, or they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
That's just how that goes.
Yep.
Um, see which way this. Okay. Um, the I think the biggest thing I am proud of myself for right now is being able to identify that there is a problem
Mm. Mhm.
and taking steps to address it.
Mm.
Because for a long time, um, I'm going to get a little more personal, but that's
Okay.
okay. That's the whole
Yep.
point of this.
Yep.
Um, I drank heavily
Mm.
for years.
Mhm.
Uh, Legally, I'm not allowed to tell you how long.
Okay.
For legal reasons, I cannot tell you.
Okay.
Um, and I finally got to the point where I only had like maybe 2 beers a day.
Mhm.
Um, but with my medications,
Mhm.
uh, most most medications that address depression, bipolar, any mental medications, you're not supposed
Mhm.
to have alcohol with.
Yeah.
And um, being able, I mean, it did take a turning point. Um, I made a very bad decision.
Mm.
Um, Luckily, nothing worse occurred
Mhm.
because of that bad decision. But um, with a little bit of help, I was able to recognize, hey, this is a fucking problem.
Yeah.
I need to fix this shit.
Mm.
And I have been completely sober for 3.5 months.
Nice. Congrats.
Well, hold on. January. Sorry, almost 3 months. Almost three
Almost.
months.
Almost there. But still, nicely done.
Um,
Wonderful.
so yeah. Um, to anybody that is going through it or knows that there's a problem and are refusing to look at it, please look at it. Um, because you are loved. There are people out there who depend on you, and you need to make decisions for yourself and for others. Now, I'm not saying that alcohol is inherently bad. I'm not.
Mm-mm.
I'm saying that for some individuals, including myself,
Mhm.
um, alcohol can be a problem.
Mhm.
Um, and being self-aware enough to address it is something I am proud of.
Yeah.
Um, it has been rough,
Mhm.
because there are days where grandma has been particularly, um, shall we say, active,
Mhm.
or she, just things are being stressful in my day to day,
Mhm.
where I would love to have an ice cold beer in the evening.
Yeah.
I There's just something so comforting about it. Um, but at the same time, I know that myself, I can't make that distinction.
Mhm.
Um, and that's just me personally. And not
Mhm.
everyone's like that. There's many people who can who can just have a beer and it's not a problem. And there are some that can't, or some that it's very hard for them to do that. Everything's on a gradient.
Yep.
Figure out where you are on it, and make the best decision for yourself and for your loved ones. That's all I have to say on that.
All right. Well, congrats on being sober. That's wonderful. I don't know what else to say other than I'm glad that you're proud of yourself for that, because that is a very difficult task to do. And the fact that you're actively striving for it is pretty impressive. So good job.
I appreciate it.
No problem. The next question is, what is your most prized possession and why?
Prized possession. Sorry, I'm putting myself through the situation of if there was a house fire, what would I grab first?
Yeah.
So the cats.
Yeah.
I love my cats. And I would definitely definitely my cats are going to be my most prized possession. I don't think I could choose. It would be more like I came inside and I saw one first. So that's the first one I grabbed.
Yeah.
But let's constrain the question just a little bit and say material possessions, not living.
Sure. Yeah, that works.
Let me think about that. Most prized possession. Anything that I've made, I can make again. So those are out. Let me think. I think it's between two items. In terms of physical possessions that are not living.
Okay.
There's two items. There is there's a guitar that it's not the most expensive guitar out there. It's more expensive than any of the other guitars I've ever owned. But it was given to me by a very close friend. So probably the guitar. Plus, it's right by the front door, so I can just grab it.
Yeah.
And then the other item that that friend that I mentioned earlier who passed away.
Yeah.
He gave me at the end of one of our D&D campaigns. It's like the first campaign I've ever finished. Like we actually had like a final
finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of that campaign, he gave us all a dice bag.
Ooh.
And I can go grab it if you'd like.
Sure.
Give me one moment. I'll be right back.
All right. Gotta look at these knots. I like watching the process of the bracelet being made. It's really cool. I think it's very neat.
It's once you've learned how to make this, it's surprisingly simple. But learning how to make it is a task. It's very confusing when you first start learning this, but it's very rewarding once you get it done because it's super easy.
Yeah,
because it's just the same knot over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So This is the dice bag.
Oh, that's so cool.
My camera's flipped, so
I can read
it
it.
says I'm the watch. Yeah, I'm the watcher on the walls. It. I've never watched Game of Thrones. That's
Hmm.
what it's in reference to.
Yeah.
In this dice bag, so my buddy gave me this.
Hmm.
In the dice bag, I have 3 sets of dice.
Hmm.
Um, 2 of them. I'm just going to grab the first 3. So these two,
Hmm.
these 2 sets, the ones that look like this,
Yeah.
um, came from a trip that I went on in South Korea.
Ooh.
Um, and I'll explain why these became even more important later.
Okay.
And then this one was one of the first sets of dice that my friend made,
Oh, that's
like
so
made at
cool.
home.
Yeah.
Um, so the reason why because this was just another set of dice that was from a cool place that I visited.
Hmm.
Um, however, it dawned on me after this friend died,
Hmm.
after they passed away. He was actually stationed in South Korea and
Oh,
loved it there.
yeah.
So these dice kind of took on a whole new level
Yeah.
of meaning,
Hmm.
because it was a place that he enjoyed and wanted to go back to.
Hmm.
And it was a place that I was able to go in and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So
So it's a
yeah,
little bit of a connection there.
yeah. So this would probably be the item that
Okay.
I would make sure to get out of a house fire.
Yeah. It's awesome. Well, I hope you never have a house fire.
Yeah, same. Um,
But thanks for sharing that with me. I appreciate it.
no problem. These are good questions. I
Thank
like
you.
this.
I tried. I've done a little bit of twinking, but I like it. Um, the next question is, how do you take care of yourself?
So there are a couple of things,
Mm-hmm.
because I have mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many things that I do specifically to address my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, the question was, what do you do to take care of yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I do is I force time with my hobbies and with my people,
Mm.
my my friends, my loved
Mm-hmm.
ones. Um,
Your support group. Yeah.
yeah. Um, I um like there was a so my parents give me relief. They come and take care of grandma for a couple of hours every week,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and um I am either hanging out with my partner, or I am at knit night, or I'm doing a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
um I am I am constantly trying to recharge my mental health,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a hard job.
Yeah.
And if I don't recharge my mental health and I crater, there's a whole human being who's at risk.
Yeah. That's not just you.
That's not just me. Like beyond my like I'm also at risk if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not paying attention to myself.
Definitely.
Um but like even beyond that, it's like I take care of my grandmother. If I am not here,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not able to take care of myself, I can't take care of her either.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to do things to recharge my battery, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So um I try to spend time every day working on a hobby,
Mm-hmm.
either reading a book, doing paracord, doing leather work. Um, I try to go to knit night every week,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to see either my partner or my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then kind of going back before, I also make sure that I'm not giving into any of my addictions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's quite a few ways that I take care of myself,
Yeah.
and force myself to do things that I may not necessarily want to do at that time, but I know it's the best for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's called being an adult. So,
Yeah. Having
um,
responsibility. It yeah. Can be a pain sometime.
something that
But
I do extra,
go ahead.
something that I do other than hobbies and stuff that I also do extra.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Ace. We're gonna move the camera just a little bit.
Oh, doggo. Hi, buddy.
Sorry for the crotch shot.
Okay.
Um, this is Ace. He's my ex roommate's dog. He is super
Aw.
sweet. Yeah, good boy. You went outside? Is that what you're asking? Outside. All right, I'll be right back.
Yep. All right. Mm-hmm. He's such a good boy. Very cute.
Hey, do you want outside too? Come
Mm-hmm.
on. All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
I find it funny because my headphones are wireless, so that goes with me, so I
So
can
you
hear
can hear
you.
me. Yeah, I figured.
um, but something else that I do for myself, and like it is for. Hold on, Parker. You cannot have my tea. Tea is not for cats. You can't process caffeine.
Oh, I think I've seen Parker before.
Yeah, he's been on stream multiple times.
Yeah.
Um, I need to start streaming again, but there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, it takes a
Um,
lot of time to stream, so I totally understand that.
yeah, I had to cut my losses,
Mm-hmm.
um, in terms of what I need to spend my time doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so something I do for myself as much as for others,
Mm-hmm.
is I feed the local strays.
Yeah.
It's something that I enjoy doing. I like going out and making friends with them and petting on them
Mm-hmm.
and having them warm up to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they warm up to me, they will warm up to someone else,
Mm.
and maybe that someone will
Take him
adopt
home.
them.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, lots of forms of self care. It's kind of required in my profession and daily life.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you have all these tools and that you're actively using them. That's great. I
I
love it.
didn't have them for a long time. A lot of these tools are very new,
Mm.
and I'm upset with my past self for not finding them sooner, but I'm glad I have them now.
Yeah, me too. That's awesome.
Sorry if you
Um,
can hear the cat. crunching in the background.
I can't, but that's okay.
Okay.
My next question is, so this was complicated. Oh,
Okay.
sorry. What is a question you wish for me to ask you?
You can tell I'm thinking because I stopped doing
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
What is the question that I want you to ask me? Mm, I don't know. Maybe like what my because I've mentioned it a couple of times where like actually having a plan for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe asking me about what my plan is.
All right. What's
But yeah, I
your?
mean we
Well, you can go in more depth into it. Like
okay.
after,
I was
so
like I was
you're
like you
gonna, so you plan to go to school and get your degree in the the acronyms that I don't remember. But
yeah.
once you have that, what are you gonna do?
So my thought process was it's like okay, I'm going to have a partner who is always going to have a job,
Mm-hmm.
is needed pretty much everywhere because there's pets and animals everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to feel like dead weight.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
One of my biggest goals, and like even if I was a stay-at-home dad, I'm doing a job.
Yeah.
I'm helping support the family in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm not the kind of person that it's like, well, I have to be the breadwinner. No, 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 no. If I can be a stay-at-home dad, you best bet I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
Um, but me and my partner have had that conversation on like, do we want kids? When do we want kids?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we've kind of left it up in the air a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
My philosophy on kids is I want to if we have a child of our own,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we need to adopt two
Okay. To have that ratio.
because yeah, and the reason behind it is why bring another child, another life into a dying world
Mm.
when we can take care of the children that we have now.
Yeah.
Um, so I made the stipulation because like I've always had the dream of having like a little girl of my own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I also am very realistic on stuff, and it's like I don't think that we should bring more lives into a dying world when
Mm.
we don't care for the ones that we've got.
Yeah.
So take care of the ones that we got.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Um, sorry that was a tangent,
Mm?
but it was part of the future question.
Yeah.
Um, so I was kind of looking at it. Okay, what am I good at? What am I? Where are my skills at? Um, I take care of my grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
so I have some medical background. I have some ability to perform under those kind of pressures.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that going into a medical field would be the best for me. At first, I decided on EMT
Okay.
because the schooling was about $1,200 and it was only one semester.
Ooh. Yeah. So I've been short and simple.
Yep. I have since then upgraded, not to a college, but to a VOTEC.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of becoming an LPN, a licensed practical nurse,
Mm-hmm.
because they are needed everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If I get tired of doing a certain type of nursing, like say I go into geriatrics, like
Mm-hmm.
working with people like my grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
and I get tired of day in, day out seeing the same kind of patients, always having to deal with diabetic sticks,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. I can
Yep.
always move. I can always change my job path.
Yeah.
Um, I can be like, well, okay, I'm a little burnt out on being an ER nurse, so um, try going to ICU, or let's try
Mm-hmm.
going to that's not too much different from each other,
Yeah. But
but
no, you get
but
the
but
idea.
yeah.
You can move into a
um
different environment in a different situation.
so the idea was, how can I be as helpful to the world as I can be, while also being as maneuverable as my partner.
Mm-hmm.
And going into the medical field was the answer.
Okay.
Um, it's something that I know. It's something that I can accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to grow old with this woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to feel like dead weight in the relationship. One, she wouldn't tolerate that. She just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I personally would not accept that.
Yeah.
So I made decisions based off of that mentality and process. So
That makes sense.
um,
I have a question for you.
yeah.
You mentioned a lot doing good for the world. And I'm curious on where you found your that worldview. Like what inspired you to be like, I need to give something back to the world as a whole. I'm curious about that more than anything. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just
Oh, no, you're good.
curious.
That is a natural progression of questioning. Even if it wasn't a natural progression of questioning, it's a good question.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know. So like I said earlier, I grew up in a very healthy church. Like,
Mhm.
had the first gay marriage in our state church.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Um, very inclusive. We always had um, like on Wednesday nights, we would have like discussion groups. We would
Mhm.
go over a passage of the Bible and discuss stuff.
Mhm.
Again, I'm agnostic. I'm
Mhm.
not a Christian anymore. But we were such an open and accepting community that we actually had an atheist
Hmm.
who would come regularly to the church.
Yeah.
And like we would ask him questions
Questions.
on
Yeah.
like how did these Bible verses read to you as an atheist? Like, give us your point of view,
Mhm.
and not in a admonishing or deprecating way.
Mhm.
And I loved that.
That's awesome.
Part A big part of the church was the outreach.
Mhm.
um and I always enjoyed. Hi, Bree. Uh-oh. Bree wants attention.
Okay.
um uh, do this. Bree, come here. You walk into the other room and scream. Like, you want attention. I know you do. Come here. Okay, fine. You won't get attention.
Oh gosh.
Um, um, yeah, I don't know exactly where I got it, but like a big part of that community was the outreach.
Mhm.
We would do a a community breakfast. We had a pretty bad homeless
Mm.
situation
Yeah.
in my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and um, we always did a very big, um, like over 100 meals served at least once a month,
Wow. Yeah.
sometimes more than that. And then they also did like daily lunches
Mm.
during weekdays.
Mm-hmm.
So like they did a lot of outreach,
Yeah.
and being able to I did like I think close to 500 or 600 hours of volunteer community service
Nice.
during high school.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think it stems from that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it stems from that, being in a community that prided themselves on, like, not in a, like, well, look how many people we served, but like in a, we did this, we can do better next time.
Mm.
Um, we need to help others. Sorry if you can hear the cat just screaming.
It's okay. Don't worry
Uh,
about it. The cat made their choice.
um, so yeah, and I also, I firmly believe that if we don't make some major decisions and change some things soon, we could really fuck up the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
the thing
mean,
about the earth,
go ahead.
the thing about it is the earth doesn't care whether or not we survive. The
No.
earth will keep on turning, with
He'll
or
try
without
to.
us.
He'll try to. For
It
sure.
um so like taking care of what we have and taking care of the people around us is a really big deal to me. Because it's all we got.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the end of the day, you can have, you can be a multimillionaire that is a, oil tycoon, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, all we have is each other.
Yeah.
And um, and I firmly believe that we need to take care of what we have, because we could lose it. We could lose it all.
Mm. Yeah. Um, Pardon my reach here, but I feel like there's a connection between, since you understand loss a bit more than I do personally, I think that has a strong connection to this, maybe, possibly. Like, you understand loss and you can understand how important it is to maintain what you have while you have it.
Yeah. Um, I think that's part of it. Like I didn't truly understand loss until about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, well, I say that. The first time that I truly felt like a life was cut short
Mm-hmm.
was actually in high school.
Mm.
Um, a kid, and I'm not gonna say any names.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the other kids in our band was on the way home from lunch
Mm.
with one of his friends in the car,
Mm-hmm.
and they came around a turn too quickly
Oh no.
and pretty much died on impact
Oh no.
as a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Um, and that was really the first time that I understood loss. I
Mm-hmm.
understood like what the what the true weight of losing a life means.
Yeah.
And like I didn't know him very well. I wasn't really friends with him. He and I just kind of, we knew each other because of band, and that was
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
That was our only connection. I was also his band buddy.
Mhm.
Um, and if you're familiar with the band buddy system, then you're familiar. Um, but like he and I were like acquaintances at best.
Yeah.
And but I really kind of at that point understood what death meant.
Yeah. It kind of
Um,
hit you at that moment and solidified.
yeah.
Yeah.
I knew what death was like on paper,
Yeah.
but I didn't know what it meant.
Or how it
Um,
felt.
yeah, like the loss of life, the loss of everything that life could have brought to the world,
Mhm.
um, really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Um, we are in a world right now where people who are just trying to be themselves see no other way out
Mhm.
and commit suicide.
Yeah.
Sorry for you having to put that trigger warning in your
It's
video.
life. It's life. These are things we have to face. But yeah.
Um, like we could do so much more for our neighbor. We could do so much more for the person down the street than we're doing right now.
Mhm.
And if we just made just a little bit of extra effort, not much, just a little bit of extra effort, we could do so much more for the world.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I kind of take that into my decision making when it
Mhm.
comes to how much energy I spend, how much, like, I don't go overboard with it. Like I still drive a vehicle.
Mhm.
um and to me that's overboard. To someone else that might be completely within their capabilities and wheelhouse and drive, and good for
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
um I'm not admonishing anybody's um capability or drive.
Mhm.
um but I feel like we could do a lot more as a society for others than what we're doing, and I want to bring some of that change.
Mhm.
um So yeah, I think you are correct that that's kind of where that stems from. And
Okay.
anyway,
All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and opinions.
yep.
I appreciate them. We're getting pretty close to the end here. We
Cool.
have two more questions. Are you ready?
Yep.
When are you the happiest?
When am I the happiest? Um, Laughing at knit night
Mm.
with all the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ace. Sorry.
That's okay.
Um, okay, y'all are just echoing each other at this point. You're not barking at anybody. You're just answering each other. Um, when am I the happiest? At knit night, laughing with everybody, laughing
Mm-hmm.
with my community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at my friend's house when we play D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
No problem. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, I'm back.
Mm. Welcome.
Um, when I'm, with my buddies, laughing over a stupid joke.
Mhm.
When I'm with my partner. Um, one of one of my favorite days, where I felt like maybe not happy, but like the most content.
Mhm.
Not in a bad way of content. I do feel like being content in life is an issue.
Okay.
Um, and to have ambition is a good thing.
Mhm.
Um, at least for myself. Maybe
Yeah.
not for others, but at least for myself. Um, but like one of the most recent times that comes to mind was um, I had 2 weeks with no time off from
Mm.
taking care of grandma.
That's a long time.
And yeah, for a 24/7 job with no breaks, no, like I really couldn't even go to the store
Ooh.
during the time. Like
Yeah.
um I had knit night that week, and um after that my parents who had come back from their vacation
Mhm.
gave me a couple of extra days off where I spent them with my partner
Mhm.
that weekend.
Mhm.
And um the first morning that I spent over at her place,
Mhm.
away from work,
Mhm.
quote unquote,
Yeah.
um I read um I finished 2 books. Actually, I finished 4 books in a
Mhm.
day.
Ooh.
Uh, but I had already started 2 of them before
Mhm.
that point.
Yeah.
But I start to finished 2 books,
Mhm.
finished 2 others that I had started earlier, and I knit about 6 inches on a scarf that I'm making for my significant other.
Mhm.
All while we were just sitting together on the couch.
Oh, that sounds
Like
lovely.
it was just a relaxing day with her and the pets,
Mhm.
um away from all the stresses of my job and life.
Yeah.
And I I don't know if necessarily the feeling was happy, but I felt very content.
Mhm.
And it's probably the quote unquote happiest I've been in a long time, was just being there.
Mhm.
Um so I hope that answers your question.
I think so. That sounds really, really nice, and I'm glad you were able to experience that. Wonderful. Um, so this is new, and you don't necessarily need to have an answer for it, but who would you want to see me interview next?
Hmm.
Who would you like to subject these very personal questions to?
I don't know. I don't know if she would agree to an interview,
Mhm.
but there's another Twitch streamer
Mhm.
who I kind of admire and uh, enjoy,
Mhm.
who has also been, kind of vocal about mental health and being yourself.
Mhm.
Um, and they just have a very inviting, warm personality and community.
Mhm.
Um, So the only person that I can really think of right now in terms of someone to interview is Lizard the Tree Wizard
Mm-hmm.
on
I've rated
Twitch.
her a couple times.
Um, yeah, she's really the only person that comes to mind, and that's probably because I have a lurk going on in her stream.
Wonderful.
Um, the other person who I don't know as well, like
Hmm.
it's all pseudo relationships because it's the internet.
Yeah.
Um, the other person who I don't know as well, but I think would be a very funny person to interview
Hmm.
is uh Pix underscore Stitch,
Mm.
PIX underscore STI TCH.
Hmm.
Also a Twitch streamer.
Okay.
And he's a makers and crafting streamer.
Hmm.
Occasionally does gaming, but mostly making and crafting.
Yeah.
Makes like his own crochet patterns for like
Ooh,
Pokemon beanies and a couple of other stuff.
fancy.
Um, so those would be the just offhand who I would suggest
Hmm.
maybe bothering about it.
All right, I'll do that.
Liz Liz may not be as receptive as I want her to be, but
That's okay. She's got
um
a life.
yeah, like
People are
I
busy.
I
I
think
get it.
yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing is like no, I'm too busy.
Yeah, and that's fine.
So
I'll bother her some other time, maybe. We'll see. But thank you for those recommendations. I really appreciate it.
no problem.
All right, so that's all of the questions I have. Now we got to figure out how we want to wrap this thing up. Um,
May may
uh,
I ask a couple of questions of my own?
sure,
While my phone just goes off in the background.
no problem.
Uh,
It's how things are.
um, you don't obviously you don't have to answer.
Hmm.
Um, what made you want to start this series?
I get that question a lot, actually, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
sure.
know.
I'm sure every
Not everyone, but like every other. But then again, I haven't been doing this for super long. Um, and I think my answer keeps changing every time it gets asked because I think things aren't simple. Things are never simple, especially with me. Like, things are always gray. Everything has several hundred different reasons as to why. Um, but for right now and for today, my brain power is suggesting that today the reason why I wanted to do this was because I don't think enough people appreciate their fellow human being and how much on the internet it's really easy to just see a name, see some text, see a profile picture, and not fully realize that there's a human being behind that wall that has a fully articulated life that they've lived, that they were born, they had a childhood, they grew up, they went to high school, they had experiences, and they have stories. And very few people go out of the way to ask about those stories or to get to know the culmination of their lifespan into the person that they've become. And that's a very scary place to be and a very scary thing to ask, but I want to encourage people to see the human in things, I guess. Does that make sense?
so yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
But it made me think of a word, a vocab word, if you will,
Okay.
um, called sonder,
Okay.
Sonder.
Mhm.
Um, I will look up the technical definition.
Okay.
Um, no, that's not. Okay. Sonder, the profound feeling of realizing that everyone, including strangers passing in the street, has a life as complex as one's own,
Mm-hmm.
which they are constantly living despite one's personal lack of awareness of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're trying to invoke that feeling
Mm-hmm.
in other people.
Yeah, I think so. And my life, it feels like the most potent tool that I have at my disposal in trying to evoke at least the foundations of I don't know, empathy, or I don't know what to call it, but I
No,
guess
you
to
got it
invoke
right.
Sonder is by leading through example. And so if I can show people how it can be done and what is possible by, you know, doing something like this, then maybe that's helpful. I don't know. That's the thought anyway.
I I like I like that ambition.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I try. Yeah, I try. I don't always succeed, but I do what I can.
It's all we can do, right? Just to
Mm-hmm.
try.
No.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for accepting. I hope you had fun.
I did. I there were a couple of subjects that came up that I was like, yeah, that's probably going to come up in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was ready for it.
Yeah.
But then there were others like my newfound fear of moose uh
Yeah.
now being public knowledge. Um but yeah, I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So now I'm going to address the invisible audience and say that if you have enjoyed this interview and have listened to the extended version, then you likely will enjoy Ferric and who they are on the social internet. Where can we find you exactly?
So I am most active on Instagram.
Okay.
I have not been streaming nearly as much as I should be.
Eh.
Um, at least how I feel I should be.
Uh-huh.
But I am most active on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Under Ferric Fireheart underscore.
Okay.
Because Ferric Fireheart without the underscore was taken.
Of course.
Uh, I post things that I'm working on, cat photos, and my leather work,
Mm-hmm.
all there.
Awesome. And
And that's really.
you have a commissions page, don't you?
I I do and I don't. So
Okay.
I do have an Etsy page
Mm-hmm.
under Problem Paracord.
Okay.
However, I have neglected it
Mm.
and I've been taking mostly local commissions. However,
Okay.
if you send me a message on Instagram or preferably just on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
um, I I'd be happy to talk to anybody about commissions and um, anything like that.
All right.
So, or even if
Cool.
you just want to talk, you can just talk to me. I don't like
Yeah. Yeah.
if
You're
you if you're also a caretaker and you're having questions or problems or want to just vent, you are free to DM me.
Mhm.
I'll be happy to talk about it because I get it.
Yeah, definitely do. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I'm glad you had fun. I gotta remember what else I do to wrap this up. I already mentioned addressing the audience. You have all the links. I'll put them in the link in the stuff below. So I'll gather that from you later. But thank you. And yeah.
When
Any last words before we
when
head out?
Yes. If anybody is interested in that Orca video, uh I will be commenting it on the video when the video goes live.
Wonderful. All right, cool. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's been lovely getting to know you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Silver. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, take care. See ya.
Bye.